And we are back. You are tuned in to the Andrew Gosser Show on 1039 WYAB. Going and blowing out of our 50,000 watt blowtorch. The signal is out there, people. Pick it up. But if for some reason you can't, we are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube. And we are streaming at the mothership that is WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the blowtorch, pick us up on one of our streams. Like, share, and subscribe. Please follow me on X. It's at Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. Today is a very special edition of Techniques, Tactics, and Procedures, TTP Tuesdays. Why? Because it's March 10th, ladies and gentlemen. March 10th, primary day. And we've got all sorts of different races to go on. And the main thing is, and I've been very careful with these new FCC rules that we at the radio station talk about, is I've kept my votes to myself, but I will be voting today at Windale Baptist, Terry 2 precinct after the show today. And I'll be out there, and I just want to encourage everybody before we get into the show. I want to encourage the Saints. Who are the Saints? Y'all are the Saints. I want to encourage all the Saints to get out there and vote. You might not like who you've got on the ballot, but that's what we've got. And the more people participate, the better chance we have at getting a real representative republic. Granted, this is the national election, so the stakes up there are very high. Barrier to entry is difficult, but not at the local level. Look, I've been reaching out to some of my faithful texters and reaching out to some of the listeners and saying, look, if you want to call in and talk about who you're voting for and why today, I think that'd be great. The number is 601-879-0002. Text line will be open, 601-879-5060. And today, ladies and gentlemen, it's a day to where we get a chance to reaffirm and touch grass, relink up. I'm not sure the right phraseology for it, but to go ahead and understand what our founding fathers gave to us by voting on Election Day. Many Americans have died to give you this right. Please take advantage of it. And with that, with this being a TTP Tuesday, I want to share you some of my techniques and some of the things that I do on Election Day. So one of the things I have is a text list of all my political people who I know are really interested. And I reach out and I text them, just reminding them to vote. I don't necessarily always tell them who to vote for. They know my person. They know my belief system, how I lean to the right on some issues, how I'm more libertarian on some issues. Sometimes, you ask me opinion on something and it might take me a week to get back on you because it's just not a simple snap decision. But I definitely reach out and text to all my neighbors and all my friends, letting them know, hey, this is what's going on today. Go out and vote. Another thing I'll do is I'll blast an email. This one is kind of tricky because with the way that Gmail works, Hotmail works, Yahoo Mail works, Proton Mail works, you do a mass blast email and it goes to spam and it might get lost. But probably one of the best ways that you can actually get out there and increase the vote in your area is a good old-fashioned phone call, ladies and gentlemen. Good old-fashioned phone call. Seems like it's getting further and further away. I know some people will get on X. Some people will get on that social media platform that begins with a F. And get on there, but that platform died in 2014. Real story with that. You can actually go back and look it up on my timeline. The time that we went out and we endorsed a candidate and over 500 shares, thousands of likes. and that candidate ended up winning. That was an election day type of thing. You wanna have that kind of influence. After 2014, Facebook realized how powerful it was, and the conservatives were owning it, and they completely locked it down starting in 2016. We still did all right in 2016, but it wasn't anything like 2014. So those are some of the techniques, tactics, and procedures that I use on election day to try to get out the vote. And the thing is it's not just something that I talk about twice a year, primary day, and then on major election day, but I try to keep it in my OODA loop, something that I'm always kinda not necessarily, uh, preaching about it every day, but letting people know how important their civic duty is to America, how it's been kind of pushed down the ladder in our education system. You know, people don't realize just how important some of these local elections are. As I continue to develop TTP Tuesday, bringing my AI online, I am realizing that there are certain things that are made for the radio, which I can talk about. And then there's some things where I'm debating doing a live stream once a week or maybe once every other week where we talk about these different AI procedures, only because the internet that I have here at the station is slow. It's all running through my AT&T phone. And at home, I've got the Uber Starlink, great connectivity. And the microphone for the grok here at the stadio gets kinda confused sometimes with the microphone for the studio, and the most important thing is to make sure that we have good radio and that we're actually going ahead and presenting something that will edify you and benefit you, and I'm just telling you, there are so many good people who, you text me every day, you check in with the show, you call in, you call me personally and let me know how you're doing, and I appreciate that, but there's so much more that you could be doing to helping the cause. And it's one of those things where you get a little bit older in life, you just wanna start sharing what you know. Clay was talking about getting out of debt and building credit. I was talking about the rule of 72. That's a whole whole 'nother show, and I'm curious how many people out there actually know what the rule of 72 is. But that's something that our kids don't know about either. And so with these TTPs, it's gonna be as we grow through them and we continue to have them be like Founding Fathers Friday. And by the way, it's great to see that, so many of you are recommending certain founding fathers. There's a few that, I won't do till closer to the end just because they're more well known, but it's all at the will of the random number generator, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody's got a number, and when their number comes up, that's what we're going with. So that's with the Founding Father Fridays. With the TTPs, I mean, there's so many places to go to and teach. But the one thing I would really recommend to people, if you don't have Grok, that's the one I use. I know a lot of you like ChatGPT. I think it's a little bit, more biased and gives me things that I don't like. I have friends who have ChatGPT and, ChatGPT went on a bender last year. I just don't trust it. I'm not saying that Grok is flawless because it's not, but it is much more receptive and it is much more malleable to the inputs that I give it. If you don't want your AI to be chatty with you, you just tell it, Grok, don't be chatty. Just give me the information I want succinctly. Grok, please don't use curse words. You've got to tell them that. Grok, I like your voice, but can you make it a little bit deeper and speak a little bit quicker? You've gotta set up your it's like almost setting up a bedroom on how you want to rest in it so you can read competently. Do you need extra lighting over here? Do you need the fan on over here? The text is a little bit dull, so I need a little bit more lighting. You gotta get this all right, and then once you actually start using the AI, sometimes things come up and it's just like, "Where is this coming from?" And so I wanna actually do this live on stream. I wanted to do it on the air, but then was like, "Well, if Grok decides to go completely haywire, I don't wanna have to smash the deedle button and then go ahead and explain what happened later to all of you and then to Matt. God forbid the FCC. But if we did it on a stream, all the shenanigans could be streamed for everybody to see, and we could all learn, especially for our precinct level people, because there's so many great stories out there to do it on. You could do it on candidates. I had somebody complaining about Lynn Finch's candidate campaign contributions. I had someone complaining about Shad White's campaign contributions. Wouldn't it be great if we went out there and we had a group of people who did nothing but looked at campaign contributions for everybody? Benny Thompson, Michael Guest, Tate Reeves, Delbert Hoseman, Jason White, whoever. You know, what used to take political analysts days and weeks to do, now you're talking minutes and seconds with AI, with a very high degree of probability, especially if you're the one who is taking that data and actually plugging it into your AI of choice. It is absolutely astounding the things I found. But you just don't have to look at that. I'll tell you what, I've been looking at this Mississippi for a Just World. It is absolutely incredible what you can unfind. And the thing is as you find this stuff, not only do you share it with your friends and your neighbors, but you share it with your local state representative. And Mr. State Representative, did you know you were funding this Mississippi for a Just World out of your money? Here's the 501(c)(3), here's the 990, and look, this is what it's saying. That lady who's on front of the Mississippi today, she's pulling in 56 Gs for a protest with less than 20 people. And we don't have the people out there going in and investigating all this. You're not gonna get the communist brainwashing service to do it. You're not gonna have the Clinton News Network to do it. You're not gonna have MS or BS Always, MS Now, or whatever it is. They're never gonna do it. It's all incumbent upon us as citizens of America to do this. And if we don't, we're gonna lose what we've got. It's just my opinion. That's TTP Tuesday kind of overview. And I'll be interested to see how many people will be interested in looking into some of these different things. I'm open to suggestions of different organizations, whether it be Mississippi for a Just World. Uh, there's a couple other ones out there that I've ran across, and it's just taken me what probably would have taken someone else, maybe 30, 40 minutes with AI. It's taken me longer. And again, I don't do a lot of typing. I'm more of a point and click and hold the microphone kind of guy to get stuff done. So what works good for me might not work for you. That's why it's a technique. A tactic is what we use, and a procedure is something that is just something that needs to be followed over and over again. When we get back, we're going to break into the news. It is election day here in Mississippi, in the middle of spring break. We will go to a commercial break, and we will be right back. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 1039 WYB. I love my listeners. Andrew, you didn't give out a scripture. Nope, but it's the same one that I'm using yesterday because it's the same theme. And I might actually use it for the entire week if I'm being quite truthful with you. The fear of man brings a snare, but one who trusts in the Lord will be protected. And what I'm seeing out there is a lot of fear from a lot of people. And let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, fear sells. Look at the gas prices. People are out of their mind with the cost of crude oil and the price of gasoline. It's like we want to live in a perfect world, but we don't want to do the things to make things work right. Oil is down $10.74 or 10.85%. It's currently trading at 88.22. I know people don't want to hear this from me, but the United States gets less than 2% of its oil from the Persian Gulf. What you are seeing here are a bunch of speculators and a bunch of shorters going ahead and trying to make a bunch of money off of you, Mr. and Mrs. America, because of this war. And it doesn't matter to most people why it happens. They're just like, it's happening beyond my control. I don't want to think about it. They don't want to have any critical thinking skills. They just want to go out there and live their mind numbed lives. Make sure they take their SSRIs, their opiates, their marijuana, stay numb, and just have a good time. Maybe enjoy a good shot of a favorite liquor of theirs. But that's not how life works. And I think I'm going to keep this oil price going. It just ticked down again. So the oil prices will restabilize themselves, especially since we've done so much to go ahead and uh, free Iran from the evil clerics, the Islamic clerics. Continue to be called an Islamophobe. It's not the right wingers who are throwing cluster bombs into crowds in New York. We can't even say that we're anti-Islamic anymore. I don't think that the best argument I've heard is it's not compatible with the American way of life. Sharia law, Islamic law, it's just not compatible. Pick one. You sit there and you have this loser protest in Jackson with less than 20 people, and CBS, Communist Brainwashing Service, gives it frontline billing. Meanwhile, you have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Iranians all over America thinking this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and that gets no coverage. And again, CBS tries to hide those celebrations. And then you have those in America who just like, I don't want to hear about it. It's not my war. Keep me out of it. It's over there. It's not our problem. But it is our problem when they're sitting there for 47 years going ahead claiming how they want to bring death to America. And they are. Our kids are absolutely being attacked, not just physically, but educationally, emotionally. I don't know who sent me this, but someone said that Gen Z has already had 1/3 of their population lost because 1/3 of Generation Z babies have been aborted. That's absolutely heartbreaking. I'm sitting here trying to make sure that I give everybody the correct credit for that. I can't remember. I think it was Miss Gwen again who posted that. But think about that. And then here we have in Mississippi something good that's trying to happen. And I can't remember if this was Mississippi Today or if this is the Mississippi Free Press. But long story short is that they're trying to go ahead and make sure that over-the-counter abortion pills are illegal to sell in Mississippi. If you want to go murder your baby, you got to leave Mississippi because we love babies. And one of the great things about marriage is that you get to practice making babies. You can do it without, but that's not how it's not how it used to work. It used to be something in the minority, now it's one click, 2 taps away, and there you are. Other good stories happening today. Oh, I couldn't believe the feedback that I got on Russ Letourneau and his education, analysis. That's something else I wanna do with the TTP Tuesday, is take all of Russ's data that he got, plug it into Gronk, and synthesize it into something that we can have like a walk sheet to basically say it's okay not to give the teachers a pay raise. And the Senate is gonna get kicked right in the shorts for this because I don't think they're gonna pass it. And everybody's gonna say, "Oh, we're screwing our teachers over." Our teachers are doing just fine in Mississippi. They make more with a bachelor's in education than an engineer makes with bachelor's in education. I really wanna juxtapose what's happening in PERS and what will happen to the education. Mississippi will turn into a Illinois within 15 to 20 years where you've got people who are sucking off of PERS and, the education benefits. We've got teachers in Illinois who are making 115,000 a year. I thought it was 105. It's 115,000 a year, and they're retired. They haven't been in the classroom for 15 years. That's not how it's supposed to work. Well, that's how we set it up, and that's what I counted on, so that's what you have to do. No. Andrew, you got a military pension. If my military pension goes away, then my military pension goes away, just how it is. We have to get this government spending under control, and there's ways to teach that are much more effective than when we went to school. And I'm not talking about this newfangled math that they're trying to ram down our kids' throats. I'm not trying to talk about having read disgusting things on their cell phones and tablets when we have plenty of written word books that they could be reading. There are plenty of new ways to go ahead and teach math and science. And again, AI is gonna change a lot of this. You can sit there and if you wanna consume good stuff, you're gonna be just fine. If you just wanna continue to be running around, mindlessly, aimlessly, happy go lucky, well, then there's a place for that here too in this society, unfortunately. And those who are actually working will have to pick up your slack for you. You won't be a giver, you'll be a taker. You won't be a producer, you'll be a consumer. It's not good. We're gonna take an early break, and when we get back, I'm gonna go to the opinion piece over at the Magnolia Tribune. Speaking of our man, Russ Letourneau, he's got an article out today, and I think it's pretty good, and we're sharing with all of you. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYB. We will be right back. Yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 1039 WYAB. Just doing some texting during the break with my man Blake, my man Rick. Tomorrow's going to be a great show. And I'm really excited for this AI TTP Tuesday stuff that we're going to start rolling out here. It takes a while. It's funny because when I was on the other side of the radio, when I was just tuning in, listening, and I would hear different radio hosts talk about how they're setting something up and it was taking time. I'm like, what the heck's taking them so long? What's taking them so long? Now sitting on this side, oh, fam, I understand what taking so long, but it's all good because when you roll it out and if you do it right with quality and you're inspired and you know you're going to make a difference, it's going to go a long way. And in saying that, it is primary day here in Mississippi. I still don't know why we do primary day in the middle of spring break. My daughter, who's on a spring break trip, would have loved to have been an election judge today, but Dublin, Dublin wins, and I can't say I blame her. This is coming from the Magnolia Tribune. Hyde Smith, Adlacka, Republican primary for U.S. Senate could impact the general election. Again, this is by Russ Letourneau over at Magnolia Tribune. They don't pay me. They probably should. But again, when you're looking for independent news, and this has definitely got a conservative spin to it, but you know that. It's not like I'm coming off like Mississippi Free Press or Mississippi Today, where they try to be this quote unquote bastion of independent news journalism when they're left as hell. They make the devil blush some days, I will tell you that. But this is coming from Russ. Sarah Adlacka is a political newcomer challenging Trump-endorsed incumbent Cindy Hyde-Smith in Tuesday's Republican primary. Can she pull off the improbable? Unlikely, but her campaign could impact November. And that is a true statement. Now, in this commentary that we're about to read right here, I'm only going to read Russ's points. I'm going to leave my commentary for later, other than to say is, yes, I was when I moved to Mississippi, I was asked to run for office, specifically a state rep spot, and I was like, oh hell no, I want to be part of the party. I want to try to show people how to build the party, to bring in people. Politics is a game of addition, not subtraction. It's a game of who can you get along with and who can you work with. And there just seems to be this level of hate inside Mississippi politics. Um, with everything that happened with Chris McDaniel back in 2014, there's a lot of salty people out there, and I get it. But this isn't 2014. This is 2026. It's 12 years later. It's time to move down the road. I'm not saying that you have to forgive everybody. Well, you should forgive. You shouldn't forget. Forgiveness is a great thing. It's a great tool to have in your locker, in your toolkit. Sarah Adlacka, an Illinois native. Me too. Moved to Mississippi 13 years ago. She's registered to vote here for the first time in 2024 before the general election. She's now attempting to unseat U.S. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith in Tuesday's March 10th Republican primary. The likelihood of her success is small. It is difficult to knock off a sitting senator, particularly when the challenger starts with low name identification and substantial campaign cash deficit. Where have we heard this before? I've been to several meetings, conservative coalition meetings, Tea Party meetings, just independent groups all over Mississippi. People wanting to take down Goliath. And the thing is they don't have any faith. And if you don't have faith, you better have cash. And they don't have any cash. No name recognition, nothing like that. So we're just putting it out there. Again, this is not my own commentary on Miss Sarah. I think it takes incredible courage to run for office. I'll tell you what, as someone who's done it multiple times and won, and if I'm being honest with you all, I probably shouldn't have won either one. I just worked it so hard that if I would have just done the typical conservative grassroots campaign, I would have lost both. I'm sure of it. But I did some work. The more likely effect is that Adlaka caused Hyde-Smith to expend funds and energy that would have otherwise been devoted to the general election contest, while introducing lines of attack that could impact November. And the thing is I haven't seen too much campaigning by either Miss Sarah or Miss Cindy. Uh, Ran into Miss Cindy over at a restaurant in Jackson, just briefly said hello. She was doing her thing. I'm not one of those to sit there and rub elbows. Um, she goes and does her job just the same way I do mine, so I don't do that hobnobbing type of stuff. But did anybody get a lot of mail? I don't have TV. I didn't get any YouTube ads or, Google ads about Cindy Hyde-Smith or Sarah. Um, I was reached out I think one time by somebody from Sarah's camp, but I wasn't truly interested in it, and, um, so this statewide campaign for Senate has been very, dare I say, cheap. In view of that handicapping, some Republican insiders have speculated that Adlaka's is a Democrat plant or coordinating with Cindy Hyde-Smith the same way that happened, um, with the Democratic opponent, Scott Colomb. Um, I'm gonna say this, if you're gonna call somebody a Democrat, you better have more than just one tweet. Throats are a little dry there. You better have more than just one tweet, saying that someone is a Democrat. You end up calling somebody a rhino off of one Facebook post, and they can end up being one of the most conservative people you know. But because they didn't agree with you that one time, now you're throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Now you're all upset with what's going on. It's absolutely horrendous. We've gotta be careful on what we're doing with this because we're sitting here labeling this one lady a Democrat. Now, she might not be as conservative as you want, but what's conservative in Illinois might not be conservative in Mississippi or vice versa. They point to Atlanta. I'm just gonna call her Miss Sarah. They point to Miss Sarah's lack of involvement in Republican politics prior to declaring candidate in 2025. Her open opposition to GOP endorsed mayoral candidate Mississippi on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, past praise for Kamala Harris, and synchronized messaging with Killorn campaign. Well, now that you've got that, now you might have something there. You might. That's why first thing I did when I moved to Terry, Mississippi, is I became a precinct delegate. I wanted people to know that I was a Republican and a conservative, and I wanted to bring new people in. I did something really crazy that's not done in Terry 2. If you know Terry 2, it is a farming precinct. It's one of the biggest precincts in Hinds County. It's huge, and I was going door to door, and I was doing good for about, 2 weeks, and then I met a pit bull, and I was like, "You know what? This isn't fun anymore." And that kinda ended my door to door in Terry 2 precinct, but it didn't mean I didn't go door to door in other precincts for other people. But I think this exposes one of the problems that newcomers come to politics. They don't know how to get involved with the party. They might have an axe to grind with a local mayor who just happens to be Republican. They get involved, they get fired up, and the next thing you know, they're being labeled a liberal Democrat. And I'll tell you what, the internet moves quick. A lie gets around the planet 4 billion times before the truth even realizes what's going on. And let's be truthful, politicians from Illinois aren't exactly the greatest. Even if you do everything right, you still got the media out there slandering you. You still got the local, not in my backyard people slandering you. Andrew, this is the way we've always done it for the last 52 years. This is just how Bob did it. This is how we're going to do it. Bob wasted a lot of money. I wasted a lot of money trying to change it, but now it's for the better. And sometimes that's just the tact you have to take. And that's why we can use Miss Sarah's campaign here as an example of courage because she's wanting to run, but maybe could have done things a little bit differently. I mean, if she lived here for all these years and didn't register to vote until she was going to be a run for U.S. senator, that tells me that she is not paying attention to how politics works. We all know that there are people out there who never get above dog catcher who are incredibly powerful in their communities. Dog catcher Dan says, "Hey, this is a bad dude." Dog catcher Dan just sank your $100,000 state rep campaign. He's just a dog catcher. He's active in his local politics. And if she was active in all these different things that down on the Gulf Coast, it just makes me wonder what else she was doing. Well, let's go to what Russ says about that. Prior to running for Senate, Adlaka's political experience in Mississippi was limited to supporting independent Casey Vaughn for mayor of Gowder over his Republican challenger, Phil Tozin, in 2025. Vaughn, the incumbent, won re-election. Adlaka has explained that her support for Vaughn was not ideological, but based on local politics. What did I say? Driven partially by difficulties she faced in her own business with government bureaucracy. Now this is where it starts to get a little bit better because now we all know we've got problems with the government bureaucracy and trying to start businesses. When we were getting the farm all zoned out and ready to go, I had to validate that I was A1, that I could go ahead and raise chickens on free range on my property. I mean, my neighbors are awesome. I love each and every one of them, but they were really worried when they say we were going to do chickens. They did not want a chicken farm, a chicken house right in the middle of Terry, and I agreed. And when they saw what we were doing, good to go. Following the election of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in 2020, Adlaka posted on her social, "You don't have to like her politics or anything about her to recognize the significance of this moment. There are a lot of little girls out there dreaming big today. As a mom of Indian daughters, the moment is pretty special. We have our first female vice president, a black woman and an Indian woman and an American woman." Yep. And that was the tweet that went around the world. And she's gonna have to figure out how to answer that in today's election. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYB. We will be right back. Oh, yeah. This article by Russ just gets spicier and spicier the more you read about it, and maybe we continue it in the next hour. But I wanna continue with some of the responses that, Miss Sarah has said because I think it's important that we get the entire side of the story. Uh, for all too often, we get these 30-second sound bites, and then we're forced to move on. But you listen to the Andrew Gosser Show, you listen to WYB because you know that we've got the time, and we will take the time to go ahead and review everything. This is Sarah's response to that. Public records are not a tax, they're facts. According to the Clarion Ledger reporting citing the Nonpartisan Center for Effective Lawmaking, none of the bills Senator Hyde Smith has sponsored since entering the Senate in 2018 have become law. Now that's pretty interesting. Normally, as a freshman lawmaker, they always try to get you a bill, so say you could do something to bring it back to the state and show, "Hey, I'm actually doing something." The same Center for Effective Lawmaking has consistently ranked her among the least effective Republican senators in some years, dead last. So the question is fair. How is she spending her time in Washington? Mississippi deserves more than campaign credit card charges and political talking points. We deserve results. We deserve effectiveness. We deserve better. So, Miss Sarah, I do agree with that. You know that there are people who go to legislate, and there are people there who go to vote. And I know my listeners will hold me accountable if I'm not getting this right, but I'm pretty sure Cindy Hyde Smith supported every Trump nominee that came out of the gate before the vote was even scheduled for a vote. Pete Hegseth, Matt Gaetz. Yep, Cindy supported Matt Gaetz before Matt got torpedoed. She supported Pam Bondi. Well, we all know she's boobs on a bull, but that's just what it is. She supported, uh, the different secretaries that were put in there, and we never had to worry about Trump's people getting in. That's not the same with Senator Wicker, but Senator Wicker, he's in charge of the Senate Services Committee. He's wielding a lot of power. I I I'm just being truthful with you. I've never had a negative interaction with Cindy Hyde Smith. I don't know how we keep crossing paths in public life, but we do. Nothing but cordial. And the only thing I've ever asked out of Cindy Hyde Smith is to support the Trump agenda, which I feel she has again with the SAVE Act. If you want her to do more legislating, Miss Sarah, what I would ask is, what have you done to reach out to Senator Smith to go ahead and help her get along her way? That's what I would ask because it's one thing to throw snowballs, and I'm telling you this, me coming from Illinois, I know how to throw a snowball. I know how to make an ice ball if I have to really get your attention. But what have we done to try to reach out to say, "Hey, Miss Cindy, have you ever thought about sponsoring this bill, or have you ever thought about getting on board with this?" I, I'm not trying to say that either candidate is perfect in what we need, but there needs to be some balance here, and I'm just not necessarily seeing it from anyone. Fire them up. We're firing them up today. Yes, we are, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuned in to 103.9 WYB. This is the Andrew Gosser Show, coming from our 50,000-watt blowtorch of a signal. And we are streaming on Rumble. And we are streaming on X. And we are streaming on YouTube. And we are streaming from the mothership that is WYAB.com. So if for some reason you're in Ireland and you can't pick up the radio signal, you can listen to the stream. It happens. Look, if you want to be part of the program today, it is election day. The number is 601-879-0002. The text line is open at 601-879-5060. It seems pretty interesting to me that some of the people who are most vocal in my chat are really quiet on who they're supporting. And I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying you've got opinions about Israel. You've got opinions about Trump, but you don't have opinions about Cindy Hyde-Smith or Sarah Adlaka or Scott Colom. I hope I said his name right. Colom. And look, you know what this is coming down to? I'll tell you what it's coming down to. It's coming down to you, the saints. That's the mission of the Andrew Gosser Show right here. We are here to equip the saints, and you all are the saints. The fear of man brings a snare, but who trusts the Lord will be protected. Look, I ain't afraid of nothing that I say. I think about it. Sometimes I regret saying it, but I don't fear man. If it's my time to go, it's my time to go. I don't want to, but hey, that's just the way it works. But when I have to start compromising my own morals, when I have to start compromising my own values to get a vote or to get through life, then I've got to reconsider that situation. Andy, you don't know what it's like to be out on the street. Well, you don't know what I've been through. And I've been in some tough ways a lot of times. But it's the character, it's the faith that brings you through. And I wanna just continue talking about this article from Magnolia Tribune and Russ Letourneau because he posts the facts. And you can sit there and say, "I agree with Russ, I disagree with Russ, I agree with Andy, I disagree with Andy." But you can't say that we didn't plagiarize the person or make them look out of context. In a world where we strive for context. Like, really quick before we get into Scott's tweet here, what the hell did we just listen to in the top of the hour news? I felt like I was in Iran listening to Iranian propaganda from the defense minister, the Iranian minister of propaganda. You've got disgraced U.S. Navy Captain Scott Kelly going, "I'm worried about the cost of the war." His entire life, all he's ever done is fought to get us weapons, the latest and greatest, and now all of a sudden, because it's against his party, he's going a different direction. I can't wait for him to get hooked up. I mean, I don't celebrate anybody getting in trouble in the military. I know it has to happen. It's part of good order and discipline. But Scott, you've earned a special place. Make sure your rivets are on straight, for crying out loud. How many young enlisted and young JOs you're wearing their awards? Ugh, gets me fired up. As Mississippians struggle with high prices, low wages, and our healthcare and hospitals are at serious risk, they have to often wonder what their U.S. Senator has been doing about these problems. The article in today's Clarion Ledger makes absolutely clear the answer: nothing. She hasn't passed one bill, or she hasn't passed one bills she's sponsored since she was elected in 2018. So this is telling me that whoever wrote this tweet for you, brother, you got grammar and spelling issues. Not looking good for you being a U.S. Senator. I'm just saying. I know I got Parkinson's. I know sometimes I slur my words a little bit, but I'm telling you this: you're going to put out a tweet to the world saying you want to be one of 100, a group of 100 people. Punctuation is appreciated, especially in the campaign. But everybody makes mistakes. We'll let it go. Mississippi must have new leadership that delivers higher wages, lower costs, and saves our healthcare and hospitals, and releases the Epstein files, and holds our pharmaceutical companies accountable, and reduces the mandates on farmers to go ahead and produce clean, good, pure food. Yesterday, I was in the Kroger and $20 for a pound of grass-fed beef. $20 a pound. I was talking to the sweet bee last night. I'm like, prices is going up. You want some BA farmland? Prices going up. And that's just for the burger. Man, I bet you I could get $60 a pound for chops now. We got a lot of lambs too. I like them too much. I don't want to sell them. I want to eat them, especially when the sweet bee's cooking them. Mississippi must have new leadership that delivers higher wages, lower costs, and saves on healthcare and hospitals. Well, how about we stop worrying about what the government's doing and start empowering the citizens of the United States of America to do what they do best, which is innovate and improvise. Vote column for Senate March 10th and get ready for Mississippi to finally matter in DC on November 3rd. You know, there is something to his X tweet, whatever we're going to call it, that does make sense. And if I was going to say one of the weaknesses of very conservative state senators, whether they be from Mississippi, Wyoming, uh, pick the state, Nebraska, Oklahoma, they're so conservative, they can do anything and not be really held accountable for nothing. We see it right here in our Mississippi State Senate and State House. We have one of the most conservative state houses in the United States. And what do we have to show for it? See how everything is just a mere copy of itself? It's just a little bit bigger number, a little bit more cash involved. So this is this article goes on. Aleka's campaign has been very tech savvy, and we're going to talk about that. Building a strong social media presence, she has been aided in recent days by a text messaging campaign launched by New Southern Majority, a Democrat-aligned super PAC that has picked up on some of Adelaca's allegations of corruption. New Southern Majority is dedicated to turning the South blue by electing progressive candidates. Yikes. That's not Andrew Gosser pulling this out of his behind. This is reporting from the Magnolia Tribune and Russ Letourneau. I'm just saying. See, and by the way, mark this post right now, March 10th, 2026 at 11:14 a.m. Adelaca's campaign has been tech savvy, building a strong social media presence. She's been aided in recent days by a text messaging campaign launched by New Southern Majority, a Democrat-aligned super PAC that has picked up on some of Adelaca's allegations of corruption. New Southern Majority is dedicated to turning the South blue by electing progressive candidates. What if I told you during my TTP Tuesday practices that I've been doing for the past month and a half, I have found statewide candidates who have basically got Act Blue money? Would you be surprised? What if you look and you just search and it has nothing to do with Act Blue, but you start drilling down layers and layers and layers, and all of a sudden, oh, what's going on here? Center for Progressivism, Act Blue, giving money to statewide candidates, elected officials here in Mississippi. It's out there. Keep your powder dry, Andy. Keep your powder dry. Well, I got to be making sure that I use what I got while I got it. A psychiatrist by training, Adelaca retired to help her husband, Dr. Sejat Adelaca. And by the way, if I mispronounced your name, doctor, that is by no means me trying to be hateful towards you. Me in name pronunciations, just bad. To open and run a cardiology clinic as well as real estate development business. She is also an author, having written functional works that include She Wouldn't Change a Thing and Midnight on the Marine. So that would be really interesting. She wouldn't change a thing. Let's just do some online grokkum right here, the Grokosaur. What is the book She Wouldn't Change a Thing about? Now, Normally, if you didn't wanna know about a book, you'd have to go read it, but you can go put it into Grok, and, it's kind of about herself. Let's just read what Grok has to say about it. "She Wouldn't Change a Thing" is a 2021 debut novel by Sarah Adlaka, a psychiatrist turned author. It's often described as a blend of sliding doors and life after life, combining elements of time travel, second chances, and moral dilemmas with themes of love, motherhood, and consequences and choices. The story centers on Maria Forsman, a 39-year-old successful psychiatrist, wife, and mother living in Beanville, Mississippi. She has a husband, two daughters, and is pregnant with a son. Her life is upended when unexpectedly she wakes up in her 17-year-old body back in 1988 or around that era with no idea of what's going on. So, she's an author. She wrote a book. This is what it's about. You can go and find out more about it. But getting back to what she did, she's an author, and she's a real estate mogul and a doctor, and she's got a very successful husband and a good and what appears to be a great life. The thing that makes candidates like Atletica intriguing are often outsider status, particularly as Americans increasingly feel like Washington is broken. And we all feel like Washington is broken. There's nobody in this listening audience, Republican, Democrat, black, white, Gentile, Jew. We all know Washington is, well, I almost cussed, broke. Jackson can't be too far behind. Voters just don't know what they're getting when they roll those dice, and that is something that I've seen on Facebook a lot. It's like the devil you know versus the devil you don't know. That has been exactly what has been sent to me here just now on the text line. You still didn't say who you're voting for, but I'm gonna say that if you're voting for the devil that you know, well, that would be Cindy. In that case, I'm not calling Cindy a devil. Cindy Hyde Smith is 100% MAGA, doing a fantastic job representing the incredible people of Mississippi. An original member of my Mississippi leadership team, Cindy has been with us from the very beginning. Order, grow the economy, and goes on and on. And you know who said that? That is the Trump endorsement. I'm going to read it just because I don't want to not read that and make it seem like I'm short mouthing the president. Championing our amazing farmers and American agriculture, supporting our brave military veterans, and promoting energy dominance, and defend our always under siege Second Amendment. So she has been a solid Trump ally, and she apparently can't get a bill put through the Senate, which is which is kind of disturbing. But at the same time, if she's getting her language put into other bills, I don't have a problem with that because I did get one of my bills when I was a board of supervisor, but I learned real quick that they did that just to placate me, and then after that, anything I had to do, I had to go put it through other committees, not even committees I was on, just because of the hatred and the personalities that happens in politics. But that is the article that Russ Letourneau wrote on the Mississippi Senate race. I'm gonna go ahead and post this to my X account. If you're not following me on X, I definitely wish you would. We're trying to get up. I think I'm up almost to 1,700, or I'm sorry, 7,800, 17,000, 7,488 followers. I'm looking for 12 more to get to 7,500. That would be incredible. Just a small time guy right now. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Oh, yeah. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 1039 WYAB. We are moving and grooving, rocking and rolling. Oil is sitting at $89.27 a barrel, down 9.69% or 9.84% now. So we were well above 90. We were touching 100. We're at 88 bucks 50 cents, 88.50 roughly in there. It's bouncing around a little bit, but it is gonna come back. That's on a volume of 515,275 barrels. We continue to watch it. I'm not fretting it. I'm not worrying about it at all. Quinnipiac, 85% of Republicans support the war in Iran, and I'm just curious, what what do the Democrats actually think? Not the TDS ones, but the ones that are in the middle that are actually trying to figure out whether or not they have a party left? I'm wondering what they're thinking because these are like these 80-20 issues that Trump is just completely continuing to bully the deep state over. Leader Thune is trending on X right now because he refuses to bring up the SAVE Act, the Save America Act. And now the US House is threatening not to pass anything else. And ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what happens when you start effing with the Constitution, like we did back in 1913, where we made these senators elected directly by the people and not by the state houses. There was a reason to this. There was a method to the madness. If you don't understand it, there's a great course out there. It's an 8-week course. It's called Biblical Citizenship. You don't have to be a Christian to watch it, but it really brings home a lot of salient points, especially when it comes to our U.S. Senate and the way that they formed it. And also on the history of slavery, and the 2 tracks that America took, which is not being taught anymore, although it's completely legitimate in real history. Highly recommend it. But the Republicans continuing to hold strong. People are in shock that Trump basically came out and said, the war in and of itself is over. We're still gonna conduct operations, and there are ships that are starting to transit the Strait of Hormuz now. They have these I call them Blue Force trackers. They're transponders, much like an airplane has a transponder in the air, they can shut it off. But ships are shutting off their transponders as they go through the Straits of Hormuz at night. And it's very promising that we're actually starting to see this open up again so quickly. The fact that you have B-52s and B-1 bombers openly flying over Iranian airspace lets you know that all of the Russian and Chinese missile defense systems that they have, either have been obliterated or they're not turning them on, one of the 2. I'm sitting here looking at how the world is looking at Iran, and the 2 views are so unique. There are some people who are really excited that the people are free, and by the way, I just got this text in talking about the different weapons that are being used right now. We've heard this on the show before. The we're running you They've made the claim that we're running out of missiles to shoot down their drones and their missiles. This is coming from General Dan Kane just this morning. Iranian missile ballistic attacks are down 90%, drones are down 83%. Stores are holding of missiles are holding steady. That fear, again, that biblical verse of fear, the fear of man is a snare. How are they gonna snare you? Are they gonna snare you over APAC? I I'm having real trouble with Israel, especially with all my studies that I do, 'cause I cannot understand how Israel can be the home of abortion in the Middle East. I cannot understand how Tel Aviv has one of the largest pride festivals in the world. It puts San Francisco to shame, and these are God's people. And I just keep on thinking, well, if God's people aren't gonna listen to God, God's gonna let them get steamrolled by the Persians again, or let them get steamrolled by somebody else. "Andy, don't you understand the Abrahamic curse?" "Yeah, I understand it just fine. I can read just like the rest of you. I'm just saying when you're supposed to act a certain way and you don't, it turns out badly. I'm just reading war stuff here right now. There was a video going around on X last night. I'm not sure if you saw it, and I don't have a screen here to play it on the live stream, but it looks almost like a giant laser, or some people were calling it an EMP blast. And what I wanna say is when you see something, especially at night, coming from a war zone, everything looks bigger because the dust particles in the air illuminate when an explosion happens. But the one thing it wasn't is an EMP blast, and I'm not gonna get in trouble for saying this. This is just general physics. You can't bend and control EMP blasts, and if we did somehow figure that out, well, then if we can figure out how to bend EMP waves, if we can figure out how to bend physics like that, well, then we've got stuff out there that we don't have to worry about it. They're gonna be able to figure out who's turning on their phone, what they're looking at, and if they like you, they'll let you live. If they don't like you, they're gonna blow you up. It's just that simple. Super texter coming in. I almost wanna read what he has to say. Yep, the APAC people, I knew it. So, Cindy Hyde Smith, this is just right here, and I wanna read it to you because he does text often. APAC, bought and paid for. And, you can sit down there and scroll down through all the different. Actually, I think I've used this website before on the air. Mark Kelly is, or I said Scott Kelly, that's his brother, but Mark Kelly, 492,000 from APAC. Let's go. I'm scrolling down here to Mississippi. And here's the thing, when you're looking at all the money that's pouring into to APAC and into our politics, shouldn't there be some type of lobbying organization that says you can't have international uh, money coming into American politics? That is what kinda ticked off America and England too, is that the Labor Party came out for Kamala Harris and was doing everything they could. I'm California's just got so many people in it from APAC. I'm trying to get to Mississippi. Man, I'm still in California. Anyways, I'm sure he's sitting there complaining about Cindy Hyde Smith, but, to me, it doesn't matter. It it's about the Trump doctrine, it's about making America stronger, and even with the oil sitting at 82 or 88 bucks, remember, only 2% of American oil goes through the Straits of Hormuz, only 2%. Everything that's happening right now, we're just getting played. You are listening to The Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Well, I certainly didn't have this on my bingo card today. Nope. But yet, here we are. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 1039 WYB. I'm just going to read some numbers to you, and then you tell me what you think. Now, before I do this, we got to kind of frame the question. I know I've got the blue collar crew working outside today, busting their butts. And I know that there are people, white collar jobs, busting their butts. And you decide you are going to go ahead and donate a significant amount of money to a political campaign. And for the emphasis of this exercise, that's going to be $250. There's a lot of people who have donated more than $250 to a political campaign, but there's a majority of the people listening to my voice right now have probably never donated a buck. So you decide you're going to donate money to a certain person, and you find out that a PAC donates $533,926 just from the PAC, and their bundlers PAC donate another $929,000. What's your $250 going to look like? Or what if a PAC donates $221,345 and their bundlers bundle another $592,000? How's that working out? Well, this is a little bit easier. PACs go ahead and donate $29,700 to this candidate, and their bundlers another $57,000. This guy. The PAC only donates $9,300, and the bundlers only $46,000. That is really shocking. Another political PAC donates $35,755, $31,000 in bundlers. And last but not least, in Mississippi, this guy got $51,900 in PAC money, and their bundlers gave him another $27,000. If you were talking me telling you about Israeli PAC, you would be right. So the Israeli PAC gave Cindy Hyde-Smith $221,345, and her bundlers gave her another $592,936. Now, does that mean that what we're doing isn't the right thing? Nope. But money does have an influence on this. And Roger Wicker, the PAC gave him $533,926, and their bundlers $929,000. Now, surprisingly, who got the least amount of money from AIPAC? Oh, I'm going to get in so much trouble from the party for this. Who got the least amount of money from AIPAC? If you guessed the congressman from the 2nd District of Mississippi, Benny Thompson, you would be correct. He's got a whopping $9,300 from AIPAC and $46,168. So for all of you black-pilled Republicans out there who all you care about is Israel, AIPAC, your man is simple. It's Benny Thompson. He takes the least amount of money. Ain't that something? I also find it very interesting that this website makes all of the politicians look really seedy and schemy. But Benny Thompson's picture, it's in full color, very serious, very professional. They didn't do too bad on Mike Easel or Michael Guest. But my goodness, you sit there and that'd be another great TTP Tuesday type of thing, where we go and we track all the different where all the big money's going from. AI can figure that all out. Like you go to Glass Ceiling, Glassdoor, whatever, you got to pay all these subscription rates, and you can sit there and get lost clicking around. AI, you just tell it what to do, and it does it for you. I'm going to use that automation to my advantage. Mississippi voters to decide whether to send longtime Representative Benny Thompson back to Washington, coming from Ground News. Mississippi Democrats will decide whether to reelect 78-year-old U.S. Representative Bernie Thompson or his 34-year-old challenger, Evan Turnage, who is not from Mississippi but worked for Pocahontas in the U.S. Senate. He just recently came here and moved here. That's true. In Tuesday's primary election, Thompson, a civil rights leader who chaired the House January 6th committee, well, he need to go to jail for that. has held his seat for over 3 decades and has a significant financial advantage. Turnage is part of a new wave of young Democrats hoping to usher in a new era and has been campaigning on economic populism and regulating technology. Well, economic populism is not populism. See, you're selecting and choosing. You're regulating technology, but you're sitting there really wanting to regulate everything. I'm very certain that some of these people, if they could regulate technology, would take away everything that's made America so great. At the same time, it's kind of put our heads in the gutter as well. We got to be truthful about that. This was the same guy who was at that Mississippi for World Justice rally, and Mississippi Today gave him a great picture of him holding up the fist and the sign and the quote from Tupac Shakur, which Tupac wasn't wrong. They got money for wars, but they can't feed the poor. I don't know. I never listened to Tupac. I'm just being truthful. Let's take a call. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Andrew, you're talking about Benny and his J6 thing. Don't forget your golden boy, Mikey. He voted to go off that crap.
Yeah, he certainly did. But let's be careful. He's not my golden boy, though. We got to be truthful. I call him out on both sides.
No. I wasn't throwing rocks at you. I'm talking about everyone else. So, yeah, that needs to be put out there, too. Like you said, things are not always what they seem.
Nope. And you know who holds the key to all of the sexual harassment cases in the House now?
I sure do. It's on the ethics committee, and his name starts with him.
He's not just on the ethics committee. He's the chairman of the ethics committee. So, I have high hopes and high praises for Michael Guest. He's going to do the right thing. He's going to expose all these sexual harassers inside the Congress. He's going to do a great job, don't you think?
He's going to do exactly what the string pullers tell him to do.
That is exactly right. But we can sit there and have a little bit of sarcastic fun with him, too. And I appreciate you calling me up and holding me accountable. Did you vote yet?
No. No, I had to go to work early this morning. Some of us, like you said, go to work before sun comes up.
Yep. I'll be rolling into the Terry 2 polling location here at roughly 12:30 to 12:45 to cast my vote. And I just have found it really interesting, this entire election cycle, of how there really hasn't been any real campaigning for anything at all. Have you noticed the same thing, or am I just out to lunch?
Well, there's been no need to. Like you said, everyone is so dug in with their belief or their person or their guy or their girl or whatever they believe, and you're not going to sway them one way or the other. So I think they've realized, why go waste money with your ads and your campaigns unless you have a relative in advertising.
I am completely shocked by some of the campaigns that were run by people who are running for such high-level office. But hey, we're in Mississippi, and that's the way they do things here. I'm so new to Mississippi. I'm still learning how things get done here. But at the same time, I can't help but point out some of the pitfalls that we're having. My friend, I'll give you the last word. You got anything else?
No, sir. Have a blessed day.
You have a blessed day, too. I really appreciate the phone call. And I do hope he hears the sarcasm in my voice. But there is a little bit of truth to it. I'm really hoping that Michael Guest comes through and exposes all of this craziness that's going on inside the House. It's not going to be on him. Let's go back to the AIPAC thing real quick here. Go look real quick again. $35,755 from the PAC itself and $31,000 from bundlers. So in the grand scheme of things, if you look on everything, he's one of the lower end receivers of money from AIPAC. So, it could happen. It could happen. There's just so many wars being fought on so many fronts. And I'm not just talking Iran or Iraq or Afghanistan or Israel, but I'm just talking here locally. And shoot, he called in. I wanted to ask him about TTP Tuesdays, if he thought what he thought about that. The Founding Father Fridays thing is definitely sticking around. Talking to Brother Blake, he should be here tomorrow, one way by hook or by crook. So that'll be a great show. I think we'll tag team that one. And by then, hopefully, we got some of the results back. It's not election season; it's election day for a reason. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, please get out and vote. It is important. It is important because if we don't, we are completely confiscating our wonderful representative republic that was given to us away. I think Benny's going to pull it off. I do. I I just haven't seen enough grassroots people fired up there, and I have a lot of good friends who live in Jackson, who are Democrats, and that just goes to show you can be friends with people on the other side and have a good trusting friendship. They just don't see the energy behind this other guy here who's challenging. So we'll see what happens. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 1039 WYB. We are going to take our last commercial break of the day, everybody. We will be right back. Yeah, we are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 1039 WYAB. It's been a crazy election day type of show. No weather today, but we're going to have weather tomorrow. I just double checked my iPhone, making sure that I've got my weather alerts on. Never know, though. They might try to use that emergency broadcasting system to hack on my show again. Look, I've got a chat that I have when I'm doing my stream, and I've completely ignored so many chats. So I want to try to read some of this because Dogfish came in with some really salient points. And he goes, unfortunately, Cindy Hyde Smith needs our vote. I say that because the other candidate is a Democrat trying to subvert the MAGA agenda. Well, we looked at what Russ wrote, and that is definitely one way to look at it. I'm not arguing it too much. Cindy has not been great, but she is better than the liberal left-wing wackos. Sarah Adlaka is an imported liberal Democrat posting as something that she is not in order to hijack the Republican Party. She does not support MAGA or Trump. Well, I never got a chance to interview her, and I would have liked that. The Republican Party was unable to put up a viable contender to oppose Michael Guest. That is very sad. Well, it takes money to do that, and it starts like if you were going to go for run for Congress, like 2028, I would not even run in 2028. I would shoot for 2030. Maybe I'll announce my candidacy to run for U.S. Congressman in 2030. That would be awesome. That's how long it would take me to do that in the size of his district. I'm not doing it, but I'm just saying that's my political thinking. Blue Sim, the gentleman from Magnolia Tribune is Russ Latino, not Russ Laterno. Just want to be clear. Blue Sim, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Me and names, always having a problem with that. But Russ is a good guy, and he puts out good stuff. You might not like it, but that's what I remember surrounding myself with people. I don't want people to say what I want to hear. I want them to say what they need to say because I want to make them make me think. Yep. Hey there, Andrew. Just another beautiful day from the creator the creator has made. That's from Brother Junk in the Picayune WYB Southern Command. Blue Sim says that he'll be supporting Cindy Hyde Smith and Ron Eller today. So lots of people jumping in there. That's just a smattering of some of them. And I appreciate everybody who jumps in and listens on this on the live stream and offers comments. Sometimes I'm checking my phone so much for the text line that I miss the actual stream itself. And the great thing is that the polls, they're going to be open for at least another 6.5 hours. Life is pretty good there. I'm getting excited too because we're getting to the point to where the Sweet Bee is about to return home from Ireland, and they've had a great time over there. Definitely good. It's one of those things where we talked about TPs this week and how we can set up our get out the vote TTPs today. But last week we talked about the news feed, and we had so much going on during this show. I did not even get a chance to pull up my list to see if there was anything crazy going on, and it's fascinating to me. Oh, that's right, Zorhan Mandami still hasn't come out and officially came after the ISIS bombers, even though he didn't call them out by name. He still is trying to make it sound like evil white man in New York is the problem for this. That it's not his people. I'm here to tell you, as sure as the day is long, that the religion that is Islam is not compatible with America. They don't respect women the way that we do. They don't respect life the way they do. It's all a slash and burn. You don't see people wanting to immigrate into Saudi Arabia or to Iran or Iraq or Afghanistan or Pakistan or Somalia. You don't see the immigration going in there. You do see them wanting to go to Great Britain, France, Germany, Canada, the United States. Immigration is up there. Why? Ask yourself why. And those of you who are on the far left or the far right, you already set in your way. But those of us in the middle, who are trying to figure this thing out on a daily basis, who want to be good people, who want to support everybody, want to support the children. Why is it that this religion can come over here, put your daughter in a hijab, subject you to the daily call of prayer 5 times a day? That's okay, but it's not okay to have the church bells ring because it's too loud. Ladies and gentlemen, we've fallen so far, we don't even realize how far we've fallen. But it's not impossible. We can come back. I believe it. I know you believe it too. You've been listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYB. We will be back in about 22 hours. Hopefully, Brother Blake will be here with us too. Until then, take care, everybody. Be blessed. Go vote. Go vote.